Alright, sorry to bring you guys back in the middle of Temptation Tower again, because I know we're done here, but I figured out how to get across these platforms. It's like you just wait for them to close and then you can just walk over it. So, this is the only thing I feel like I missed. I went back and grabbed that mana egg that I had to get, as well, so... we're just gonna finish up here and try to grab the remainder of these things, maybe do some battles. Shouldn't take long, you know. We'll just go around and do all of that. I'm not too worried about it, to be real with you. I feel like this will be pretty straightforward, and if not, I mean, it's not that much to do, so not much to worry about here. But yeah, this'll be it, and we won't be back here ever again. So if everybody can, you know, look forward to that at the very least. You know, I'm sick of this place.
Come here.
Definitely, you know, want to finish that up. If you've been watching on my channel, I've uploaded a lot of videos all at once recently. You know, I uploaded the end of Frogger yesterday. By my... as of recording this, it was yesterday. I don't even remember what the best way to deal with these guys is. Can I just base attack them? Yeah. Yeah, we uploaded that, you know, check it out. It's great. It's, you know, we finally finished it. We finally got there.
100 million degrees. Take that.
It's kind of a long video, but, you know, it is what it is. And I uploaded since the, I've uploaded the next thing that we started to record, which is Tomorrow Never Dies. We mentioned it in the video, but I'm not sure if we're gonna finish it. I feel like we might, but we had another thing in mind, which we are now able to record as of, you know. Now we can, because I got my SNES back, so. Yeah, I mean, look forward to that. But yeah, I think Tomorrow Never Dies. It was fun. You know, I feel like it's worth checking out. Actually, I don't know if we're recording this weekend, because Shriver said he was going to be busy, so...
Not bad, eh?
I don't know if that's going to happen, but luckily we have enough episodes here that I think I should be able to get... Shouldn't have to, you know, make more for another... Oh, it was just a res potion, that's right. I forgot. But yeah, there are some monsters up here. I'm actually gonna save and record and come back, I think. Okay. Yeah, hopefully... Guess that this won't take long. I had to walk all the way back here. I kind of regretted my decision to walk all the way back to the stupid town instead of, not doing that. Because that meant I had to come all the way back here. Plus, I had to redo all the puzzle. Well, there's particularly the door opening puzzle where you have to hit all the gem buttons and stuff. Particularly that one I had to redo, which included, you know, going through those stairs where you have to rotate the rooms. I have to do all of that over again every time I come back here if I leave. It's not fun, but I did do it. And yeah, so that's about the tall and short of it. I've been releasing, what else have I done? Sporkle, done some Sporkle videos. I have an Among Us video that's in the works, probably out by the time you see this. so I've already got that rendered and uploaded, but I like to retain my order. You know, when you see the videos and listed in upload format, I like to retain the order, and if I put something up out of order, it's just gonna stay right in that incorrect order, and it just bothers me for some reason.
Not bad, eh?
But yeah, we had an interesting weekend. I already talked about it a little bit. I went home, and we watched a movie later that night. We actually watched the Red Dwarf movie, which I'd never seen before, interestingly enough. And yeah, it was really cool. Really cool to see those characters again, you know. It's kind of sad though, because I mean, you can tell they're all getting older, and I mean, that series never really had a proper like ending or anything. It just kind of went going, and they're like, all right, we're still in the Red Dwarf. Fuck. I feel stupid. Yeah. And it was, you know, the movie was just another side story of like, let's bring in this element that we've never really explored, which is like the evolved cats, right? Have another race. So there's a race that evolved from the ship's cat, right? Over the course of like the millions of years that Lister was in cryostasis on the ship, his cat evolved into a whole species somehow. And so they brought that back, and the whole element of like how they worship him as cloister, and there's like a big book of teachings, and there's this. So they mess with that, and it's fun. They mess with like I think the really cute thing about it was how they kind of acknowledged like these characters have never really gotten along, and that's part of the humor of it, is like they hate each other, you know, they hate being around each other.
Here we go.
And yet they're like forced to be together because there's just nobody else. Yeah, you know, over the course of like 9 seasons, 10 seasons, 11 seasons, however many there were, like, you know, they've been through a lot together, you know, they could bonded, they're kind of family. You never really see them acknowledge that because it would kind of ruin the joke, you know. For them to start getting along. But it was kind of nice to see them, like, kind of finally do that and, like, stand up for each other and, you know, like, try to comfort each other when, you know, things are really off. I don't know. It was just nice to see, because normally they would have just, like... Well, I don't know. There were some early episodes, I think, where there was some comforting of... I don't know. It was just really sweet, but you know, it doesn't really stand... I don't know if you could really watch it without having seen all of Red Dwarf. But it was nice to see them, like, bring back the show, because they did the Back to Earth special, right? And then after that, they had, I think... Or maybe... No, maybe they didn't. No, see, I got confused about this, because I think we never really watched seasons 9 and 10. And I thought they came after Back to Earth. I don't think they did. I don't know, I got really confused, because I've never really looked it up or anything. So... yeah, Back to Earth was a bit of a meta... Oh, there was a monster there. Okay. Back to Earth was a bit meta. Because it involved them finally getting back to Earth, obviously. The obvious premise there.
Here we go. Ha!
But the whole thing of this was like...
There's no use in hiding.
They acknowledged that they were part of a TV show, and they meet, like, the writers and the creators, and they, like, talk to... They have to come to terms with the fact that they're fictional characters in a story. and all of this, you know, it was a very meta thing, you know. And it was decent enough. There was some fun reference. Like, there was a reference, I think, to Blade Runner of them, like, crashing through.
All right, we won.
I think Lister's, like, running and he crashes through a bunch of windows. Like, you know. Yeah, stuff like that. All right, this didn't really seem worth it. Did I miss any? Okay. That's something. RNT knife. Cool, that was pointless. Okay, yeah, I think we're done here. I think we got everything. None of that was really worth it, I don't think. We got some money, and we got this knife, which isn't even as good as the god knife anyways, so... Kind of a disappointing trip, but, you know, at least that, you know, gets rid of that uneasiness I felt about there being a whole missing section of this dungeon that I didn't find. I have now since found it, so it is not something to worry about no more. I guess I'm just gonna head over to those mountains areas now. Okay. We got some fruit there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use these. Don't really know if I need to bring any items or anything with me out here. I don't really know what I'm getting myself into. I'm not gonna sell anything just yet unless there's a need for me to get more money, which I don't really feel like there is yet. If there's another city that we have to get to, then that might be something, but otherwise, I don't know. We're just heading through the mountains now. We're continuing our story. I hope it's not really gonna be... This should be hopefully easier location than Temptation Tower. I would assume Temptation Tower is supposed to be one of the hardest things in the game, so... I feel like, I hope, like, maybe we can relax a little here. But we'll find out, you know? We'll see. So yeah, although I can't say you should watch the Red Dwarf movie necessarily unless you care about the show. I would definitely recommend watching the show. I feel like it's kind of sad that show really doesn't get much appreciation over here in the US. It's like one of those, a lot of other British shows seem to pick up steam, but I don't know, that one, I've never really heard anybody bring that one up ever. Which is kind of sad, because it is genuinely one of my favorite, like, British comedies. I think it's because I watched it as a kid, you know, and I got really invested in the characters and the plot and everything. It's really freaking good, man. I don't know what these are. They don't look like they belong in this hemisphere. Die, monster. You don't belong in this world anymore. Yeah, I had a friend in college. I tried to get them to watch it. I think they watched a few episodes and then didn't really watch the rest of it. Which made me kind of sad, because I kind of felt like they'd be into it at some level, you know? Okay, I didn't like that. Because I shared a lot of, like, shows. Like, I watched a lot of the same shows as them. You know, the big one kind of being Doctor Who, I think, was the big show I watched with them. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought they'd like it, but turns out they just didn't really watch much of it, so I guess they either didn't like it, or maybe I just didn't like it. I guess they prefer stuff that they can kind of, like, they always like stuff that they could really get into, and then they'd kind of like get obsessed with stuff, so
Burn to a
Man, I was hoping they would really get into that. Oh, another show that we liked was Buffy. That was another one I shared with them. They both kind of got into. But they actually introduced me to a lot of shows that I ended up really liking. Like, there was a show called Misfits, which is really good for like a season or two. Oh, okay, we're at Demon Ball Max now. Alright. Best thing to do right now is just try to get everything up to 100, up to max stars here. Get our magic up, get everything up. Just wait, just throw stuff out, you know, see what hits. Sure, I'll give it the wrap, whatever.
Please protect us.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought they'd like Red Dwarf, but I know it's not really the type of... They were more into, like, the drama side of things. Skins was another show that they introduced me to that I ended up really liking. Just overall, really good stuff, you know? They introduced me to a lot of YouTubers as well. Or just YouTube in general. Just watching and actually, like...
Here we go.
Actually, like, subscribing to channels and, like, following people, and which was something I'd never actually done at any point. So, that was very new to me. And it was very much because of them.
Please protect us.
Yeah, so, you know, I kind of owe them a lot. They also sparked more of my interest in, like, movies and TV shows just in general. Because I really, like... I was a video game guy. I always kind of have been a video game guy. So I ignored a lot of... Sorry, I'm going to raise my microphone a little bit here. So, you know, I always kind of... That kind of consumed most of my time, was just playing games. So I never really sat and watched, like, got into TV or anything, so... There were a few shows that I liked when I was younger, like some animes, and, like, I really got into, like, Naruto and Bleach and Dragon Ball Z a little bit. And so that was, you know, that was fun for me. I think I watched Heroes and Lost, I think, were both shows that I kind of really enjoyed. There were some of the few shows that I really enjoyed, other than Doctor Who, of course, you know, which is something we had in common, and I think Buffy is something, you know, I watched. So, you know, just I had a couple things, but in general, I was like, not really my thing, you know. I prefer the interactive medium. And I never really watched a lot of movies. I think there were a few, like, horror films I think I got really into at some point, but other than that, I don't know. I just didn't really watch much. So they kind of got me, like, wanting to watch a whole bunch of stuff rather than play games and stuff all the time. Which I've carried with me for a while. I still like watching TV shows and stuff every now and then, but I think it's hard for me to sometimes, like, throw myself into something and be like, am I gonna like this? I don't know. You know, when I could be spending time, you know, playing something else. I don't know. But you know, I've actually got a lot of shows I enjoy that, like, I'm trying to get through, and it's been a slow process. Yeah, I kind of owe them a lot for those specific personality traits. Of, like, really getting into something, really getting invested in something and characters and stuff. They were all about that, you know. They really liked, like, it would always be one show that they would just get into for, like, a month or two, and they would talk about nothing else but this one show, you know.
Please protect us.
Which, you know, I kind of felt left out sometimes, which is partly went ahead and like tried to watch it when I could.
In the darkness,
But I really do like, definitely those British dramas, man. Skins is fucking incredible. What an incredible show, dude. I feel like everybody should watch Skins. Like, that show was just something else, man. I didn't expect... It's a show about teenagers that kind of live these really torrid and tumultuous lifestyles. Like, these growing pains, but in a very serious way. Like, they're dealing with a lot of shit all at once, you know? So it's like it's kind of a coming-of-age show, but...
Thunderclap in the darkness,
like they're dealing with drugs and relationships and all sorts of stuff. It sounds kind of lame. It's hard to like describe the show, but I mean, trust me, if you just like throw yourself into it, I feel like you'll probably enjoy it. Like most people I've talked to that have seen Skins are like, wow, yeah, that was a great show. And it did it for. It was like a multi-generational show, so I think each generation had like 2 seasons, and then the next season would focus on like a new generation so a whole new cast. And I think only into the 2nd season was there a little bit of crossover, because one of the main characters from the first show, his sister becomes one of the main characters in the 2nd season, or in the 2nd generation. And then, of course, they did like a final season where they kind of covered... They just showed... Sorry, I'm still a little out of it, so I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Oh, God, I completely forgot. I think I was giving that to Liette. 65, 61, yeah. Yeah, they returned to some characters in the future, to see, like, where they were. It was kind of interesting, but I guess, you know, didn't really, like, it was just kind of an extra thing, and it covered characters from the 2nd generation specifically, which I found a little... Oh, no, one of them was from... No, sorry, one of them was from the 1st generation. And they, of course, covered,
Blow you away. Take that.
Well, okay, I won't spoil it, because there's a lot of shit that happens, and I feel like if I say too much, I'll end up spoiling at least a part of it, but, okay.
Thunderclap in the darkness,
some of the fan favorites, I think. I feel like the 3rd generation was a little bit underrated, because I really liked the 3rd generation as well. They were all good, you know? Like, the show... I'm not sure why it just kind of ended.
Please protect us.
You know, but it's like there's not a miss in, like, the show is good throughout, and it ends as good as it started, so I definitely recommend checking that one out. The other one's Misfits, which, like, that show's another one. That show has a really strong premise, but kind of fumbles it towards the later seasons. It kind of...
Blow you away. Take that.
It ends up, like, it builds up all this mystery and, like, all these plot threads that you, like, want to see come to fruition, and then, like, it kind of just all falls apart, and a lot of the resolutions aren't really as satisfying as you would want them to be. I think the show really started to kind of go downhill once, like, there was a character in the first season or 2 who was like the heart and soul of the show, and that character ended up leaving in like the 3rd season. And when that happened, they replaced him, and then everybody else kind of started to drop off. Like, they lost their cast. And, like, tried to replace them, and then the replacements just, who cared at that point, you know? It's, like, weird. So the premise is all about these teenagers who make some dumb mistake and end up in doing community service, basically. So they're like these you know, treated as these kind of delinquents. And the whole premise of the show is they end up gaining superpowers through some sort of... I think it was like, there was like a... God, I don't even remember what it was. It was something that didn't really matter, but it gave them superpowers. And they started to discover that they had superpowers, and then all of this...
Please protect us.
Because of it, you know, and their personality traits, like, some of them have really...
Blow you away. Take that.
really rough personalities that are like the reason that they find themselves in trouble so much. I gotta kill these guys faster than I am. Very. Oh god. Sneeze like snuck up on me. I was not anticipating. Just kind of like, oh, I gotta sneeze.
Come here.
Yeah, but that ends up being a thing, and then that shit just kind of spirals, and a lot of crazy things start happening because of these other people that they find have superpowers, and I think the cool thing about it definitely is the like
Please protect us.
the like kind of low budget nature of it makes it feel really like down to earth. So
Take that.
I don't know, these powers, they aren't anything like crazy that you need a lot of CGI for. It's just like, what would happen if you had like a power like this? What would like, how would you deal with that as like a teenager, you know, who already has a rough time cleaning up their own lifestyle? Shit like that.
By the grace of God.
It's a really cool show, but admittedly, it does fall apart in the later seasons, which I actually didn't watch some of the later seasons until like after I'd finished college, and I was like, whatever happened to that show? I mean, surely it went on. Surely I just wanted to see if it like got, because the premise was so cool. I'm like, surely this show is just really good, and like I want to see the rest of it. And then I was like, oh, it kind of falls apart, and that's why it kind of just dropped off and was never heard from again. Kind of sad, you know.
Please protect us.
But a really cool show. Can't remember if there was really anything else that like I watched from them that they like introduced me to. We are not killing these guys very fast. I don't really care. I'm just trying to get rid of my magic. I'm just trying to level shit up. I might be dragging out the time, you know, for all those speedrunners out there who are like, "Would you finish the game really fast?" Because I do shit like this. Yeah. I mean, they introduced me to like Tobuscus, who is kind of had his share of controversies over the course of the years.
Take that.
He's kind of dropped off. I feel like the big reason he dropped off was not because of the controversy, but more because of him just not changing anything he does. Like, he's just kind of been doing the same thing, and he's never changed it. Like, he still does the vlogs. He's still the same personality. He's never, like, opened up or become, like, you know, because a lot of those people, like Markiplier and PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye, I feel like a big part of their success was that they kind of grew up a little bit and ended up being, you know, feeling a little bit more authentic in their personalities, and they stopped kind of playing a character. I mean, PewDiePie especially was kind of the trendsetter on that, you know, and it's like, basically he came out with a video and he's like So I'm sick of doing this character. I've been playing this character. I've been playing up all my reactions to shit, and like, I play scary games and I just don't have the same reaction to them that I used to. So it's like, I'm just playing up these reactions. Like I'm just playing this character and I'm just kind of sick of it. I want to move on. I want to like talk about other stuff. I want to change what I'm doing. And it actually really worked for him. And kind of a lot of the other YouTubers ended up really following suit with that. So,
Please protect us.
I think that was a good direction for him. And I mean, now look at him. I mean, he continued to grow after that, you know. And he grew at probably even a faster rate than he did before. I mean, there was a point at which I, like, really disliked PewDiePie, right? Because he was just, I found him really annoying after a while. Like, I think there was a, like, when I was watching Tobuscus in college with them, I was like, okay, this is kind of funny. He's this guy, and he, like, reacts to games, and he just really has a fucking good time, and I'm like, okay, this is new. I haven't seen anything like this before, you know? And then I stopped kind of watching, okay, cool. Okay, cool. I dropped off, and I tried to find something else, and I watched a little bit of PewDiePie, and I was like, okay, well, this guy... it sounds like embarrassing, but I was like, this guy's, like, more mature, you know? He's... but by that, I just mean he was more... off the cuff? What did I mean? I don't know. He was less filtered, I felt like, where Tobuscus was trying to be, like, family-friendly, and PewDiePie didn't care. So... I liked that for a little bit, and then, you know, I was like, okay, well, actually, this is all kind of, like, I'm way too old for this at this point. I'm like, okay, well, this is made for a younger audience. It's just kind of annoying now. And I ended up, like, I started to really dislike that, and, like, his content. I'm like, he's appealing to kids, you know, so annoying. Yeah, I found him kind of annoying, and I think most of the internet did too, so, you know, like, PewDiePie. He used to be on the same level, I think, as, like, Fred and, like, Annoying Orange. It's like one of those YouTubers that everybody just hates. They're like, shut up, you know? He was there. But ever since he did that video, I think that was after I graduated from college, I watched that. I'm like, huh. He's actually a cool guy. He's just a normal dude, and he, like, I get it. You would get sick of that, you know. You would grow up eventually and be like, well, I don't do that anymore. I don't enjoy doing that anymore. And I really respected that. I was like, oh. So I ended up, like, watching him a little bit. I don't really watch him regularly anymore. I don't watch him much at all, actually. But I used to. There was a little bit of time where I would watch his videos on occasion. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of moved on, found other other thongs that I liked.
Burnout.
Oh man, there were a couple other YouTubers that they watched that I feel like really fell off. There was this one guy, and I can't for the life of me remember what his name was. But they were obsessed with this guy for like a week or two. Maybe longer. I mean, it's basically this guy, he was like this British guy who did, he did basically these kind of sketches in his apartment. Like, he never recorded with anybody else. He would just be in his house, and he would use shit that he had lying around to just make characters. Like, he used, like, maybe a wig he had lying around, some shit, and he'd play a bunch of different characters and do this whole comedy routine. Really kind of bizarre, but kind of like very authentically YouTube. And I couldn't for the life of me find him. I remember he had a... the only thing I remember, like, very vividly is he had, like, this Colin Farrell joke. I don't even remember what the joke is anymore, because it's, like, it's been such a long time since I've even thought about him. But it was, like, some Colin Farrell joke. He would do a Colin Farrell impression and make fun of this guy. That's like the only thing I still remember about him. Wild, dude.
Blow you away. Take that.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. There was another guy who I do remember his name. I did find his channel, but I forget. I can't think of it off the top of my head what his name was, but he did a bunch of he did comedy stuff, and he had this really, I think the most popular one was the Malk sketch where he's like, "Get the man a glass of malt." And he's like, "I made this for you."
Oh, cold that freezes all, come here.
Sorry, Mom, just my white friends. I'm sorry, I can't make it funny by just quoting it, but those were the big lines that I remember from
Blow
it.
you away. Take that.
That guy, he did a bunch of music videos and stuff. He also had this other channel where he played this other character. Yeah, he did a bunch of songs.
Please protect us.
Never get naked in your shower. Promise I'll always wear my clothes. I did, I'm reading a book. Reading a book. Don't you ever interrupt me when I'm reading a book.
Burnout.
I did a bunch of stuff like that. I still remember that. I could find the channel really easily, honestly. I just don't have the means to do so at the moment. Well, I could. I could go get my laptop and be like, huh, who's this guy? Oh, burn flame.
Blow you away. Take that.
Yeah, but they introduced me to like all of those people.
Fury here.
But like every single one of them has kind of fallen off. Which I feel kind of weird about, you know, it's like, is that just like inevitable? People just gonna fall off eventually? It's just like you give them a few years and they just kind of, I guess it is true. It's like, the reading a book guy, the Malk guy, right? I looked him up and he just kind of stopped making videos. He just eventually stopped. And he did some like weird stuff. I remember like the last video I think I watched from him was him just watching his old videos with a dude, but some guy, his friend. And it was like an hour or two long video. And it wasn't like very interesting. I think it was meant to be very like, I don't know, cynical, I don't know. It was meant to be just such a stupid idea. Like, maybe he was making fun of that idea, I guess. Because he was playing his character and just, like, in the video, so it wasn't like he was, like, actually reacting to anything, you know?
Oh, forest, protect
You know, it's
us.
just a really weird video, honestly. I was like, okay, this is weird. I remember it. But it was weird, and I think that was the last thing I watched from him, and then I kind of just stopped. And yeah, I didn't hear from him. I think he came back and made a couple videos, but I think he's moving on, maybe moved on to like mainstream stuff. I don't really know. Guy just kind of disappeared, you know? So for him, I guess it wasn't that, you know, he just fell out of popularity like I feel like happened to Tobuscus. But more that he just kind of left.
Please protect us.
Yeah.
Giant black.
I don't know what happened to a lot of the other guys. Tobuscus, I feel like there's definitely a lesson that can be learned from Tobuscus, which is just like you have to adapt. You have to change what you're doing, you know.
What a cinch.
And a lot of YouTubers kind of fall off because of that. one of the big examples I like to think back on, or I think back on sometimes, is back in like 2016, 2017, somewhere around that time. I was like very into Overwatch. Like I got really into Overwatch, right? And so there were a bunch of YouTubers that played Overwatch pretty regularly that I got into. Most of them were like there was like this group of Australians that like I feel like they led the charge kind of on Overwatch. It's like they got really big just through this one game. So it was like Mooselk. Zilbrad was one of the ones I think about a lot. I'm like, whatever happened to that guy? And I look him up, and he's doing, I think he's doing Apex Legends now is his thing, which was a weird choice because a lot of them just moved on to Fortnite. You know, which is the obvious. They just kind of moved on to the next big thing. Which I don't know, can work, can not work. It depends on if you actually enjoy the next big thing or if you're just doing it because you're like, I need people to watch me. You know? So it works for some of them. I haven't heard anything about Mooselk in a while, though. I think he's still doing stuff, but Zilbrad's like... I feel like Zilbrad's dropped off a little bit unless you still watch. Unless you are interested in Apex, I guess. Which, I feel like Apex has kind of like run its course already. It had a good year. And I feel like nobody really cares much about Apex as much. My friend Trevor still plays it on occasion, but it's a fun game. I actually really liked Apex, surprisingly, because it seems like one of those games I would hate. And then I was like, no, this is actually really cool. Because it was kind of like the Fortnite Battle Royale genre. It was really one of the only few Battle Royales that I played, other than like the Call of Duty one for a night once. I played Apex, and I was like really surprised by how good it was, like how well done it was. They didn't try, I don't know, I guess I didn't really play Fortnite, so I can't really compare it super well, but the abilities, I guess this is how I felt. I preferred it, like I liked Apex, and I didn't like Valorant, because I felt like Valorant was like kind of the same idea. It's like, what if we take the Overwatch abilities and put them in a like a CS:GO type game, right? And I'm like, okay, kind of interesting. But then I felt like the like different heroes were just not interesting enough. The way they did the abilities was kind of like lackluster. I just wasn't that impressed with it. Whereas I feel like Apex Legends did it right, where it felt like the characters were unique and their abilities felt like ingrained with who they were, and it was, you know, I was playing this character. Whereas in Valorant, it felt like I was not. I was playing, you know, a hero that had like tacked on ability. Like, he has like ice powers or something. I didn't really think that through super well. And some of the abilities were like very much the same. Like they did the same thing, you know. Like this makes like a puddle on the ground that slows them. This makes a big fog thing, and like a bunch of characters have that same ability. It's like, what's the point though? You know, it's like, well, it's the same fucking shit.
Show your power.
I don't know, that's kind of how I felt about that. But anyways, yeah, so a lot of those I was like curious about. I'm like, what happened to them? Because I know there was like Bazagaza was there, and that like, was it Krator, the fuck was that guy's name? He had that fancy mustache, that like iconic mustache. And I was like, what happened to them? Oh, Loser Fruit, of course. But Loser Fruit, I feel like is much bigger now than she was, cause she, I mean, she has like she got a whole skin in Fortnite that was like just based off of her character, I think, in the game. Which kind of confused me. I was like, wait, that's how her character looks like in the game, but now there's a skin based off. Isn't it just Like, it has to just be items that are already in the game, right? Like, I don't understand. It didn't make sense to me. I don't play Fortnite, so maybe somebody else understands that, but, like, just from an outside perspective, I'm like, I don't know, what the hell? What? But Loser Fruit's great. You know, I thought she was really cool. When she played Overwatch, I felt like she just played the game, you know. She wasn't trying to do, I don't know if I want to get into this, but from my perspective, like, at the time, I felt like a lot of the people I kind of saw on were like the titty streamer crowd. Like, that was a majority of like the females I kind of saw. So, I don't know, is this kind of cringe to talk about? So it's like she was very different. You know, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I mean, she's like, she just plays the game for fun. I don't know, maybe that's cringe to say. I don't know. Maybe that's but I don't know. I was young, dude. You know, I didn't know anything. I didn't understand. I didn't see a lot of female streamers, I guess is the thing. And so, for her to be, like, different made her, like, a streamer I actually wanted to watch. Because I didn't like the whole titty streamer thing, you know? I was like, this is lame. I don't want to watch this. Anyways, I don't know. Is that weird to say? I don't know. I feel like that's not that weird to say, right? It's just my perception at the time. I probably was wrong about that. There were probably a lot more, but she was one of the
Blow your way. Take that.
first ones. I didn't watch Twitch very much at all. I'll be honest. I didn't watch streamers. The most I watched, I think I got into like Twitch Plays Pokemon, and then I watched like the AGDQ stuff, and then that's like it. That's all I watched on Twitch ever. So anyways, yeah, she's still doing cool things, I think, cause like, yeah, she just kind of moved on to Fortnite and then like ran with that. Now she's kind of iconic in that as a Fortnite streamer. She's like bigger than ever.
That was rather simple.
And I think she's the only one that like I still heard about, other than the other ones. Like maybe Moose Elk's out there still doing stuff, but I really don't hear about him. Yeah, anyways, so I feel like that's kind of a lesson I feel like is like people don't. Can I just cast this just to charge it up for no reason? I guess so. Yeah.
Blow your way. Take that.
Yes, I feel like you kind of have to eventually change. Like, you can't just be associated with one game forever. I mean, I guess some people do, like the Minecraft people. Like, kind of just stuck with that. Like, Captain Sparkles and all of them. Shovel. You know, they just kept doing that. Kept doing Minecraft, you know? But I feel like they were kind of on a downward trend until Minecraft kind of came back. And now they're all like huge again. Now everybody's watching Minecraft content and they can kind of shine again. Or they kind of seem like the old guard, you know? Like Minecraft content's kind of being taken over by a lot of younger people, and so yeah, I guess we're just doing basic attacks with her.
Ha! Take that, I'll kill ya.
But it's nice to see that they can kind of like come back, but realistically, I don't know how popular Minecraft is gonna be forever. Like, Minecraft apparently is one of those things that can kind of bring people back to it after a little while. I think it's just a second wave. I don't really think it's gonna like I don't think it's gonna last forever. I feel like there's always gonna be a core group of people that are always gonna be like, this is pretty much the best game ever, right? And they don't need to move on to anything else. But, you know, I don't think it's gonna stay popular in the public sphere forever. So, I feel like it'll drop off, and I don't know if it's gonna really come back. Like, I think people are kind of expecting, they're like, it'll stop being popular for a little bit, and then it'll come back again. I don't know, man, maybe. But, who knows? I don't know if it'll be out of nostalgia anymore. At that point, it's just like, do people still care about Minecraft? Well, actually, I guess maybe that's not so true, you know, because there's a lot of new people, I guess, that are getting into Minecraft through Dream SMP and all of that, and this is like their first exposure to it, and they're like, oh, you know, in a few years they'll be nostalgic for it, and they'll be like, oh,
Your way. Take
Minecraft's back. Tommy and it's back, guys. Yeah. I'm worried about some of those Dream SMP guys, though. Because I feel like Dream SMP, like, is just not gonna... It's not gonna last. I mean, I watched a little bit of the Dream SMP, and I liked the idea of it. I thought it was a really cool idea, and I was like, okay, this little arc they're doing is kind of cool, and I followed that for a little bit. I've talked about this before. I liked the idea of it. I thought it was a really cool idea and something that hadn't really been done before. It was like this big server. I guess SMPs were not a new idea, but they kind of made it bigger than ever. I think the big like, one of the cool ideas about it is that Dream kind of like, after every big like arc or whatever, every big event, he kind of pulls in more people onto the server. But none of them have really shined. Okay, so one of them, I feel like Rambo has really shined. He's one of the few that's been like, they got kind of big after some of the big arcs. And is just kind of getting bigger than ever. But a lot of the other ones, well, Philza, I guess. But Philza's always been, he's always been Philza, you know? People just like him because he's Philza. Like, isn't he one of the, like, old guard? I remember a big story about him because he had this Minecraft hardcore world. I didn't even know that it was him at the time, and I was like, oh shit, I remember that story. It was like huge news. It was like all over Reddit. It was like this guy who had this Minecraft world for like all this time. This hardcore Minecraft world just finally died, and it was like really sad. It was like a big thing. Like, oh no, that was him. Wild, you know, small world. Not really. He was in that sphere, you know. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to keep like slowly bringing in new people, like not all at once and not too many at a time, just to kind of like start some new arc. Oh, Captain Puffy is doing great stuff, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know, some of them are kind of doing, but it feels like a lot of the main story still revolves around like Tommy in it, and
Ha! Take that, I'll kill ya.
He's kind of like the main character of the SMP, and I feel like once he leaves, I feel like he really should have been killed off like a while ago at this point. Like, it's kind of, at this stage, it's like they're really avoiding it because they're worried that he's gonna have nothing left after he's been removed from the SMP. Or it kind of throws a wrench into the server, you know, because the server lore, because, you know, they already have this arc about bringing back some of the ghosts. And, so they're like, oh, you know, we have Tommy Ghost, and it's like, what do? We bring him back? Is that, if people care? Is it just gonna become about that, about like, let's bring people back? You know, so I can get it. They've kind of done that to themselves by introducing that plot element. I really think it would have been better if there was no possibility to bring people back, but they decided that that would be a cool thing. And it is. It's a cool idea on the surface level, but when you think of all the future issues with that, it becomes more of a complicated thing, because then it's like, well, does death really mean anything if you can bring anybody back? Because that was the whole point, you know, was death, like, dying means something, you know? I don't know. The way they did it is they tried to make it so it's, like, a difficult thing to do. And I think if, like, Dream is removed somehow, if they somehow kill Dream somehow in his own server, I can't really, I honestly can't really imagine that happening.
That was rather simple.
But, you know, then there's no way to resurrect people anymore, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's just, you know. It's okay, but I'm worried that the story itself is kind of dropping off. I'm like, you know, because I haven't cared about it for a while. Not that I ever really deeply cared about it, but I was kind of invested in the story for a little bit. I don't know, you know. Other people probably still care. I don't care about the egg thing. Ever since they started doing the egg thing, I'm like, I don't care anymore. This is dumb. And I mean, everything, like, it is amateurish at best in terms of its storytelling. Like, a lot of it's a bit derivative of, like, okay, it's a political thing. It's like, oh, we care about our nation and we need to protect it. The nation's what matters. We're a family.
Please protect us.
And then that's like the whole, everything centers around it, and everybody's trying to, like, you know, you have this power-hungry maniac who's, like, just trying to
Oh, thunderclap in the
remove
darkness,
them.
Come here.
You know, it's all very basic stuff, not anything, but it was cool to have people just, you know, off the cuff kind of role-playing this situation and just kind of creating their own stories within it and all of that. It's a really cool idea. But yeah, I mean, you know, like I think it really did benefit from, like, Wilbur being the script writer and, like, kind of writing all the big events and pulling everything together under this one storyline. But now it's like several people are trying to do storylines and none of them really mesh super well. And it's like, okay, well, you know, you could focus on this storyline, but is it gonna matter at all? Is it gonna actually lead to anything? I mean, it's probably get some sort of resolution, but does anybody else, like, it fully depends on if everybody else in the server actually cares about your storyline, you know? Like, if people don't care, if people aren't, like, interacting with it, then it's just nothing. You know, they did the egg thing. They're still doing the egg thing, aren't they? I fucking hated that idea so much. I'm like, oh, stupid egg, man. Who cares? It's such, like, a basic idea, you know, of, like, oh, there's this unknown thing and it can take people over, and, like, the natural conclusion is that everybody's gonna band together to destroy this thing eventually. Some people are corrupted by it, or getting corrupted by it, but it's just being dragged out, dude. Just, like, all you have to do is get everyone to agree to go destroy the egg, and that's it. Like, there's only 3 people trying to protect it. It's just everybody else is having their own storylines, and nobody cares enough to actually do it, you know? But you just know, you know how it's gonna end, and you're just like, can you guys get to the end? Like, just end it already? You know what I mean? It's just like, why is that still going on?
Take that.
Please protect us.
Not that I keep up with it. I just, you know, I think I actually haven't seen a clip from it in a while. But I used to sometimes watch stream clips and stuff whenever something happened. I'm like, oh, I'll check that out. But yeah, I actually don't really even know what's going on anymore at the moment.
Oh, thunderclap in the darkness, come here.
I think it's still it's like the Tommy stuff that I still kind of follow up with. I like watch that and be like, oh, Tommy's trying to kill Dream.
Simple.
Oh, Tommy died. I was like, oh my god, they finally killed Tommy. I was like, whoa, no way did they do this. And you watch the stream and it's just like, wow, that was kind of anticlimactic, you know? For him to die like that, it's just like, wow. They really went and did that. And then they just brought him back immediately, and I was like, okay, well, that wasn't as interesting as I thought. Because I was thinking, like, in my head, I was, like, thinking about this. I'm like, they're not going to kill this guy. They just can't kill this character because he's the heart and soul of it. You know, it's like, without Tommy, are people going to care anymore? I don't really think so, because he's, like, the one kind of trailblazing what the story is. In reality, I know a lot of other people are kind of doing their own storylines, and it's like, yeah, there's cool stuff, right? Rambo. Everybody's really interested in, like, Rambo's thing, but I tried to watch his, like, that stream where he first did the thing, and he's like, oh, in my head, there's a voice in my head, and it tells me to do bad things, and it's like, oh, that's a cool concept, but then it didn't really make any sense, like, what his motivations were. Because it kind of became, oh, I don't like taking sides is bad. And it's like, what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. How would somebody come to that conclusion?
Please protect
You can't just
us.
not be on a side. You're either, like, that makes you neutral. But like the only people that aren't on sides, like Purpled's not on a side. You'd have to be fully neutral, but that's just such a hard position to play. And he's not really playing it, you know? Like, it didn't really make sense. I don't know. I wasn't understanding it. I feel like, to me, the big issue, the big problem with the Dream SMP is definitely a lack of exposition. Like, rarely do any of these characters come from anything. It's like the moment they log onto the server, that's their existence starts. So it's like, it's hard to understand characters' motivations because they're not built on anything. You know, it's just like, this is my base level motivation. Like Rambo's is like, I don't take sides, and then he kind of just changed his mind or something, I guess. Technoblades is another one that's just basic as fuck. It's like, I don't like governments, but why? Why doesn't he like governments? You know, there's not really any reason that he doesn't. He's just like, he tries to be like, oh, well, you know, it causes problems. You know, everybody there's always somebody that tries to take power. It kind of makes sense. It's better than most. It's better than most. His motivation is better than most. And he's, like, genuinely good at, I think, he's generally good at, I guess, dialogue. Like, I think it was kind of cool, his whole thing with, like, Greek mythology and pulling that in and then, like, bringing back this thing. Like, he's like, oh, Tommy, he makes this reference to Theseus before he's like, Theseus died, a hero. Everyone eventually hated him and exiled him, and then it kind of like played into like the Tommy getting exiled, and it was like, oh, not bad, not bad. Like, that was kind of cool little,
Oh, thunderclap in
you
the
know,
darkness, come
way to
here.
build that up, I guess. But it ended up, I mean, it wasn't really. First of all, I don't even actually know if this Theseus story he said is real. I tried to look this up and I could not find anything. I checked the Wikipedia page and like, where is this coming from? Like, what's the big thing I know about Theseus that I read about on this thing was the ship of Theseus, which is like, oh, I've heard of that, which is basically, the ship of Theseus is like, it's a philosophical concept. Like, if a ship is breaking down and you continually replace, like, the wood, you replace everything, eventually you've replaced everything in the ship, is it still the same ship? It's like a philosophical concept, right?
Here goes! Ha!
If everything on the ship has been replaced, is it still the same ship? And I think it comes from them, like, I think maybe there's actually a ship of Theseus, and eventually they had to replace all the parts, something like that, and they're like, huh, that's a really interesting concept to think about. It's not really the ship of Theseus anymore, is it? Huh.
Go,
You know?
magical art.
I guess that's where the story comes from. I don't even know if that's a great philosophical concept, because it's like,
Here you go.
I mean, not really. It's kind of a different ship, I guess. But it retains the same form. It looks like the same ship, I guess. It's not really. If you've replaced
rather
everything,
simple.
it's a different ship. But I guess if you really think about it, you can compare that to like our bodies, because our atoms, our shit is like constantly being replaced. Our cells die and they make new cells. So eventually, at some point, every cell in our body has been replaced to the point where we are a completely different, we're something completely different than we were before, but we still feel the same, you know? It's kind of a weird thing to think about. If you put it in that context, then it's like, oh, well, that is weird, yeah. That's a weird thing to think about. Am I the same person? I don't know. But yeah. That's that.
Go, magical
But you
art.
know, I like his concept. I like what he's trying to do, but I feel like it's just another one of those things that suffers from a lack of exposition, which exposition could really like benefit a lot of these people. But it's just like, I came into existence. They try to set up some of these like as parent figures, like Philza is Wilbur's father, and then
Blow, storm, blow!
I don't know, they try to do other things, and Technoblade's been very like, oh,
Blow your way.
I don't want
Take
any of that. They were gonna set him up as Rambu's father, and they're like, no. So I wonder if he regrets that, because they have kind of like become allies. You know, I feel like they kind of interact a lot now,
Please
which they didn't
protect
before
us.
at the time, so. Honestly, now it would have been a cool thing to like play off of, but then it wouldn't have been. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but at the same time, it doesn't really. There's not really that much payoff for it. I mean, Philza joins, he kills Wilbur, but like the impact of that is not. Like it's all kind of a meta impact of like if you know who they are, and like if you know Philza and you know Wilbur and you've seen them interact on streams before, it's like, oh, it's kind of sad, you know, it's kind of impactful that like he's his father, and you know you kind of feel that a little bit just from that. But if you take it in the context of what it was, it's just like some guy shows up and he's like, I'm your father, and then he kills him, and it's like, oh. Okay. All right.
Ha! Take that, I'll kill ya!
You know what I mean? So you have to kind of
Blow,
like.
storm, blow!
I feel like a lot of the animations and stuff kind of build up on this, though. They kind of create a lot of the emotional impact of it, and like make it seem a lot more impactful than it really is, you know.
Please protect us.
Like, they make it seem fucking epic, dude. I've watched a lot of those animations. I'm like, wow. They make this seem like the best, the coolest shit ever. In reality, there's a lot of, like, awkward
Blow your
dialogue
way. Take
delivery
that.
and people really trying to overact and shit in the moment. And it's like, yeah, if you... Like, Tommy especially, I feel like one of his big issues is that he talks way too much. Like he says he gets a decent like line out, and then he just keeps saying the same shit over and over again as if it's gonna make it more impactful that he keeps reiterating the same point. You know, it's just like, all right, dude, you don't have to say this much. Let other people talk. Let other people, you know, interact with this. We're just kind of taking up time and being a little annoying.
Here you go.
Like, I don't know. Oh, and there was the whole exile thing. I feel like was really poorly handled because it didn't make sense, kind of what Tommy was trying to say with that, and nobody else seemed to get it. Like they were all out of the loop or something, which I feel like is another issue. Is sometimes they're just out of the loop and they don't get it in the moment, and they kind of react poorly, and then it's like, oh well, we gotta fix. Like I should have reacted differently to this. My character would have reacted differently had he understood what the other guy was trying to say. Because Tommy's point was actually kind of, I don't know if he just didn't explain it very well, but the point was like, oh, you know, we can't, like, I know, like, it seems like Tommy is very much in the wrong because he, like, burns down their house, and he's, like, the whole reason they show up and try to build a wall around, but in a weird way, he's kind of right, because at the same time, it's like Dream's always kind of been the enemy. You know, and it's messed up for them to like bow down to Dream's demands here and to just be like, oh yeah, you can build a wall around us and we'll just do what you say. You know, and that was kind of the point I think he was trying to get to, which is actually a really good point. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't, he doesn't have any say of how you deal with people in your own nation, you know. He doesn't get to say, oh, you exile him, or else. He doesn't get to say that. It's not up to him. And yet they kind of bowed down to his demands. So it makes more sense for the other characters to kind of be on Tommy's side here, but they weren't in the actual stream. And then it was like the next stream where they like finally decided to actually exile him. They like kind of like jumped on his side. And he's like, wait a minute, he's right. As if they were like talked about it behind the scenes. And we're like, oh shit, I get what you were saying now. I should have been on your side about this. This is like,
Here you go.
And I mean, you can compare it then to like the Theseus thing. And it's like, did they exile him for being a hero? Not really. Was he a hero in any way at any point? Tommy's a weird hero because he's not really a good hero. He does just kind of cause trouble. He's rambunctious. He's,
come on, back for more.
You know, that's his whole thing. Is he likes to mess with people, and so he causes trouble. He's not a hero really, but then he like comes back, and then he ends up like kind of leading the charge and ending up like kind of doing the right thing, but he kind of just puts himself there. You know, nobody really. I don't really think anybody's generally on his side about anything. It's just like, okay, well, you know, you happen to be on the right side this time, but like, you know, you're not really a very good person. Like, you burn somebody's house down. You're not a hero, dude. That's not what heroes do. And he didn't apologize for that. The only really heroic thing that he did was kind of protect Rambo and be like, oh, Rambo didn't. He didn't mention Rambo's involvement in it.
Here you go.
I don't know. Man, I'm really going hard into the Dream SMP lore, huh? Gadsap.
Go your way. Take that.
Yeah, I don't know. What else? Is there anything else to talk about? I mean, I wish some of the other characters kind of did more. Were involved more. Some of them get shafted a little bit. That I feel like Neochu kind of got shafted. You know. I feel like with her, the issue is that she maybe doesn't speak up for herself in like the background. Be like, hey, I want to do this storyline. You know, I'm sure they have a Discord and they're like they have to be kind of open to shit. You know, and be like, oh, this is my storyline I'm trying to do, and then you have a discussion. Like, everybody kind of has to be in on it, you know? In on that and, like, work together. I assume they're doing that. Maybe they're not, but it's just like, you kind of have to send out a Discord. You kind of have to type in the Discord and be like, hey, guys, I'd like to do this. And maybe be a bit more assertive about who you want to involve specifically. Like, because you could call people out and be like, hey, I think you, I think I could work with you on this. Like, maybe I could have my character go and work with you on this thing. You know, you have to be very proactive. I don't know what she's doing. I can't really say, but I feel like the fact that she's getting, like, shafted on a lot of the kind of ideas she has a lot to probably do with that. And that's mostly because a lot of the other characters seem to be able to get their ideas kind of off the ground. But I don't really know. There could be some weird hierarchy going on there.
Storm, blow.
Please
It does
protect
seem
us.
when there's like a Tommy in it storyline that nobody can mess with that. That it's like, hey guys, don't get in the way of this. This is Tommy's one stream. He's leading the charge on this. Don't mess it up. You know, and then other people kind of do story streams and, yeah, you know, antics happen. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I may be speculating too much there, but
Go, magical art.
yeah. Some of the other characters I feel like are interesting, could be more interesting. Like, one of the ones that kind of surprised me was Purple's stream during the whole, like, J-Schlatt revolution thing when J-Schlatt dies. And I was, like, watching him, and like, I watched that stream, I'm like, what the fuck does Purple even do? Like, I never hear about this guy. And I watched I watched that, and I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting. This is, like, the perspective from, like, a background character. Like, how does a background character perceive all this? And he's like, I don't know which side I'm gonna be on, guys. He's like, I don't really want to be on J-Schlatt's side. Because his whole character apparently is about being neutral. And remaining neutral to a fault.
See my power.
So, you know, Carl talks to him and he's like, you should be on our side. He's like, alright. And then he talks to somebody else. He's like, well, maybe I'll be on their side. And then he ends up talking to, like, Bad Boy Halo and his whole group who are joining the Technoblade and Tommy Innits and, you know, Pogtopia, I guess it's called, their side. And he just follows them? And he talks to him, he's like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're gonna be on their side. And he's like, oh. They're like, which side are you on? He's like, oh, I don't know. They're like, maybe we shouldn't be talking to you. And he ends up just following them.
Blow your way.
And he ends up in, like, the vault where Technoblade, like, brings a bunch of people in. And he's like, oh, this is where all the weapons, this is what I've been working on. And they're all like, whoa, oh my god, you have so much stockpiled. And Purple is there. He was fucking there. He's just in the room, and he takes a bunch of weapons and then goes back and just kind of joins J-Schlatt and Carl at the top of the thing, and then mid-battle, he's like, I need to switch side. I'm gonna be on the other side. I'm just gonna pretend I was on their side the whole time. And he does that. And the only one who notices is Technoblade, who's like, wait. Because he shows up, he's like, wait, guys, I'm on your side. And Technoblade's is like, you weren't a second ago. Because Technoblade killed him. It was just so fascinating to watch. I was like, wow. This is something, man. He was just playing both sides the whole time, and nobody, he just slunk into the background, and nobody noticed him, except Techno.
Blow your way.
I was like, that's wild. It was just kind of a funny stream more so than, but I kind of wish he'd be on he'd do more, you know. This is actually kind of interesting, realistically speaking. Kind of an interesting guy. Just watching that stream, I was like, this is interesting. You should do more. You know, a lot of those other characters really should, like, try to do more, you know?
That
like
was rather
Ponk.
simple.
What is, like Ponk's kind of chooses sides, but I don't know if he really leads the charge on much, you know? Man, at this point, I almost feel like I could just do a Dream SMP video. I could talk about this shit for hours, I feel like. It's weird, because, I don't know. I don't even really watch it anymore, but it's just, like, parts of it are ingrained in... I have a decent memory, so, like, whenever I watch something, I just remember it, you know? So I have all these thoughts in my head wandering about. And... yeah, I could just do... I watched, like, Game Theory did, like, a video, and I was like, wow, this guy has no fucking clue what's going on. His predictions were so dumb. I was like, okay. But it's like, it's Matt Pat, so, like, his predictions are always kind of rough. If you actually know the source material he's talking about, most of the time, it's like, it's a big yikes, you know? I don't know. I've watched, like, the Five Nights at Freddy's ones, and because I have never played those games, I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. For some reason, I've always found it kind of interesting. But then, you know, I watched this, like, Metroid, like, did Samus bring the X, off, sorry, what was the, was Samus responsible for the X parasite thing? And he concluded that she was, and it had something to do with the creatures. And it was, like, so dumb. It was like, that doesn't make any... Like, those creatures are from Zebes, first of all. Like, okay, don't argue with me about Metroid lore, dude. I got annoyed because somebody actually brought this up to me once, and I'm like, dude, that is the stupidest theory that has ever existed. Sadly, it's been a while since I've interacted with the theory, so I don't actually remember much about it. But it had something to do with the animals, which the animals are from Zebes. The X-Parasite's home planet is SR388, where the Metroids live. The reason that the X-Parasites were able to thrive was because Samus killed all of the Metroids. But the,
See my power!
those animal... No, I think it had to do with the X, like, getting off of the bottle ship. It's called the bottle ship. No, sorry, bottle ship is Elder M, isn't it? The space station, whatever it's called. He's like, oh, these are probably X-Parasites they brought with them. She brought with them something. They had the X-Parasites when they left Zebes. Is that part of it? I don't remember. But that's impossible because Zebes is a different planet than SR388. The X-Parasites are from SR388. They were able to thrive.
That was an easy victory.
But because this space station is above SR388, a lot of the samples that they took from that planet had the X-Parasite in them, which is absolutely thriving. Like, the Metroids are the main predator of it, and you remove them, you know, it just allows the X-Parasites to thrive. It's a pretty basic predator-prey relationship.